Okay, let's talk AI in football because it isn't some, far off future thing anymore. It's actually here right now, really reshaping the Premier League, everything from how teams scout players to, well, how goals are even officiated.
Absolutely. It's embedded already.
And today we're going deep, not just on the cool innovations, which are definitely exciting, but maybe more importantly on the big legal and ethical hurdles clubs are facing, like right now. So if
Like,
you want the shortcut to understanding what's really going on where tech meets sport, this is definitely for you.
exactly. And our mission here, really, is to pull out the key nuggets from what we've been seeing recently. We want to help you get your head around these, frankly, complex webs of data protection law, employment rights, and those big questions around fairness and integrity, things Premier League clubs have to navigate.
Right. So we're looking at some huge questions, aren't we? Like what actually happens when all that player data, their heart rate, GPS tracked, everything becomes, a commodity.
A really valuable one,
Yeah.
potentially.
And how do you make sure things are fair when it's an algorithm helping pick talent, not just a scout's eye? Plus, maybe the biggest one. What about fan trust? The heart of the game.
Crucial.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's dive straight into that regulatory tightrope clubs are walking.
Yeah, and one of the biggest areas, right off the bat, is data protection.
Yeah.
Has to be. AI in football, well, it just eats up a ton of data, especially what's called special category data.
Okay, special category data. What exactly falls under that?
Think really sensitive stuff. Biometric details, performance data collected from players, GPS tracking during training, injury diagnostics, heart rate monitoring, even those predictive models that try to guess, a player's next move or their injury risk. Under UK GDPR, that kind of information, it demands much higher safeguards.
So, okay, heightened safeguards. What does that actually look like for clubs on the ground? Are we seeing examples where clubs are really maybe proactively investing to get ahead of this?
That's a really good point. We have seen some solid examples, like Everton FC back in 2022. They put in place this really comprehensive GDPR compliance framework. They shifted from manual spreadsheets, can you imagine, to automated risk assessments, breach response protocols, using specific software for it. It really shows the level of due diligence that's expected now, especially at the top tier.
That makes total sense. So, boiling it down, what are the absolute key duties for clubs with this sensitive player data?
Okay, number one, they need explicit informed consent from players for basically every bit of data they collect and use. Then they've got to limit how they use that data strictly to why they collected it in the first place, meaning, they can't just go and sell it or share it with third parties without a clear legal reason.
No reselling performance stats without permission.
Exactly. And of course, they absolutely have to keep these systems secure, protect against data breaches. Because if clubs mess up here, they risk pretty hefty fines from the Information Commissioner's office, especially if data ends up with external vendors or gets used commercially when it shouldn't have been.
Right. Which brings us neatly to another, well, massive legal challenge. Who actually owns player data? And can it be sold? Our sources definitely flagged something called Project Red Card. That's this legal action, right? Brought by hundreds of players, current and former.
Over 800, yeah. It's significant.
And they're claiming their personal performance data, the stats generated in matches, has been harvested and sold off to betting companies, data analytics firms, whatever, without their consent, and crucially, without any compensation.
And this dispute, Project Red Card, it really throws a spotlight on some fundamental questions. Like who actually owns the performance and biometric data created during a match? Is it the player, the club, the league?
Yeah.
Can clubs or even third parties legally sell this stuff on? And what rights do players really have over their own sort of digital performance identity, which often goes way beyond just the pitch itself?
Wow, those are huge questions. It's almost like asking if a player's digital footprint is becoming as valuable as, well, their actual feet on the pitch. Is this just the law playing catch up with the tech again?
In many ways, absolutely yes. The potential for long-term commercial value here is just enormous. Think fantasy football, esports, the gambling sector. So clubs absolutely must make sure that any data use is nailed down contractually, processed lawfully, and managed ethically. If they don't, well, it's a complete minefield. Opens the door right up for disputes like Project Red Card.
Okay, so moving on from data ownership, clubs are also using AI more and more for scouting, identifying talent, even helping with contract talks.
Yeah.
You mentioned tools like A-Scout, where players can upload videos and data from anywhere.
Yeah, that's one example.
On the surface, that sounds fantastic, right?
Right.
Like it could open doors for players who aren't near the big academies, democratize access a bit.
It could, but, and it's a big but, it brings in a major risk: algorithmic bias.
Ah, okay. Explain that.
Well, these AI models, they learn from data, and they can accidentally end up favoring players who already have advantages, like access to better training facilities, maybe higher quality video cameras, or even just fitting certain physical profiles that have historically been preferred in elite football. And the really key insight here isn't just that bias can exist, it's about how proactive clubs are starting to develop what they call fairness-aware AI.
Fairness-aware AI, what does that involve?
It means actively trying to counter these biases. Techniques like deliberately using more data from underrepresented groups, or actually building bias checks into the scouting algorithms themselves, trying to level the playing field digitally.
So clubs are aware of this potential problem. That's somewhat encouraging. But how are they actually, handling it in practice? Are we seeing issues or even legal cases pop up around AI making employment decisions, like contract renewals or who makes the team?
We are starting to see the implications. Under the Equality Act 2010 in the UK, clubs can actually be held liable for indirect discrimination, even if they're using tech developed by someone else, a third party. If they don't regularly audit these AI systems, they risk just, well, baking in existing biases, all while calling them data-driven decisions. And this links straight into employment rights, particularly around automated decision-making.
Okay, automated decisions. Are there specific rules, maybe like in GDPR, that cover this, especially for big things like player contracts or career paths?
Absolutely. Article 22 of the GDPR is key here. It specifically restricts fully automated decisions, ones made only by AI, if they have legal or similarly significant effects. Think about denying a contract extension, changing pay, things like that. That can't be purely automated without any human review.
Yeah.
Hugely important in football. As clubs lean more on AI to, say, flag fitness worries or suggest contract actions, they must ensure these AI outputs stay as advice, not the final word.
That seems like a critical difference. It sounds like a warning from other industries, maybe, where dodgy algorithms have led to discriminatory hiring or even people being fired unfairly. In football, the nightmare scenario would be an AI wrongly predicting a player's injury risk, and boom, they're out of the club prematurely.
Precisely. And to guard against that, decisions have got to remain transparent. Players need to be able to contest them. And ultimately, human judgment has to be involved. Otherwise, yeah, clubs could easily face claims for wrongful dismissal or discrimination under UK employment law.
Which leads us nicely into the ethical side of things. Because sometimes just following the law isn't quite enough, is it? Take consent, for example. Ethically, just ticking a box, that doesn't always feel right. Imagine a young academy player, maybe 17 or 18, being asked to consent to constant biometric monitoring or these new AI training programs. The pressure to just say yes must be huge.
Oh, absolutely. Given the power imbalance the club holds most of the cards, it's ethically vital that consent is genuinely freely given. Players need to be fully informed about what they're agreeing to, and crucially, they need to be able to change their mind later without it damaging their career prospects. Anything less really undermines trust. It could feel like, well, ethical coercion, even if it technically ticks the legal boxes.
It makes you think about the player's experience, too. Imagine being dropped for a big match and the coach just kind of shrugs and says, "Sorry, mate, the algorithm said so." Okay. It almost sucks the human element, the passion, right out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely could. And that's linked to the black box problem with some AI. These models can produce an output bench this player, sign that one without always giving a clear why. So, say a club uses an AI fitness tracker to help decide the starting lineup. If a player gets benched based on that AI's prediction, maybe about fatigue, but there's no clear explanation, well, that can easily breed resentment, undermine team morale.
So transparency isn't just a legal thing, it's vital for keeping the team together and for basic sporting fairness.
Exactly. Clubs need to be able to explain why AI-assisted decisions are being made, and players have to have some way to challenge them if they think the tech got it wrong.
Okay, so beyond the legal compliance and these ethical tightropes, there's another really practical challenge, isn't there? Especially for some clubs, the cost.
Yes, the sheer cost. If we zoom out a bit, developing and implementing cutting-edge AI is incredibly expensive. We see examples like Liverpool partnering with DeepMind, Google's AI arm, to analyze thousands of corner kicks using something called Tactic AI. Amazing stuff. But smaller clubs, they often just don't have the budget for that kind of thing.
Which raises a really important question then. Could this AI arms race just widen the gap between the rich clubs and everyone else, making the league even less competitive? Are the sources suggesting any ways to maybe level that playing field a bit?
There's definitely a growing discussion around meeting league-wide AI governance frameworks, maybe even shared access to some core technologies. A bit like how financial fair play tries to curb spending disparities. The idea is to stop technology becoming just another way for the wealthiest clubs to pull even further ahead.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, one last crucial area. Fan trust and the actual integrity of the game we watch. I remember the Premier League delayed rolling out semi-automated offside technology back in 2024, especially after all the controversies and, let's be honest, frustration around VAR, the video assistant referee, the long delays, the confusing decisions.
Absolutely. That delay really showed how sensitive fans are to tech, messing with the flow and, well, the raw emotion of football. Technology has to serve the game, serve the spirit of football, not frustrate everyone watching. If decisions aren't explained well, if the tech seems inconsistent or the whole officiating process feels opaque, that can just kill public trust really quickly. So clubs and the governing bodies, they really need to invest in educating fans and being transparent about how and when AI is being used.
Right. So wrapping this up, it's clear AI is already transforming professional football. Huge potential advantages, definitely. But as we've unpacked, it comes with this critical need for really careful handling.
Yeah, for Premier League clubs, the big challenge isn't just about using AI to stay competitive on the pitch. It's fundamentally about making sure they stay compliant with the law, that they're transparent in how they use it, and that they maintain fairness in this whole new technological landscape. And the long-term view, coming through from what we've looked at, is that embedding these legal and ethical principles into their AI strategies from the start, that's what will help create a version of football where tech genuinely helps human talent shine, rather than, replacing it or distorting the game.
So a final thought, Len, perhaps for you listening. What does all this actually mean for you, whether you're a fan or maybe just someone watching AI creep into more and more parts of our lives? If these principles, consent, transparency, fairness, are so incredibly vital in the high-stakes, high-profile world of professional football, well, how do we make absolutely sure they're being upheld everywhere else? In all the other industries and experiences where AI is becoming just as common, just as powerful. Something to think about.